Welcome to Unapologetically Sensitive, a place to find connection and a sense of belonging, where you can learn, relate, laugh, and maybe even live a bolder, brighter life. I'm your host, Patricia Young. This is a weekly podcast where we talk about sensitivity and the richness that it adds, the strengths we have because of our sensitivity, and some of the challenges it poses as well. The information in this podcast is not a substitute for help from a licensed mental health professional.
Hey there, to the creatives, healers, sensitives, and deep thinkers. How you doing? I'm thinking this is just going to be a pretty quick episode. I wanted to let you know I had a few people reach out to me and ask about the Online HSP course. I had enough people that were interested to start a course, and it's going to start on Tuesday, June 16th. It's less than a week away. I do have a couple of spots left. And so I just wanted to give you a heads up. If you've been thinking about taking the Online HSP course, it will be on Tuesdays from 10:30 a.m. to 11:50 a.m. So it's an hour and 20 minutes Pacific Daylight Time. It will run for 10 weeks. The topics that we're going to cover are mindfulness and self-compassion, identifying negative messages and turning them into superpowers, perfectionism, embracing our emotions, self-care is non-negotiable, boundaries, communication, authenticity, vulnerability, and creating a lifestyle that honors the HSP. And then we're going to weave in also expectations and disappointments. If you're not familiar with the course, there's a video that Jen Perry and I made, and so every week before class, the week beforehand, I send out an email that has a link to the video and prompts and things to think about for the following week. During group, it's really open to sharing, and what my plan is to do with this group is to do a group consensus to see if the group wants to continue to stick with the topics or if we want to incorporate what's going on in the world. Things are a little topsy-turvy right now, and so if we need to make those adjustments, this really is about meeting the needs of the group. That it's very possible that things may be coming up for people, and so you will definitely get the videos every week to watch that will cover the topics that I told you. But if the group is wanting to focus on what's going on in the world right now, because the world is just a little bit upside down, that if that's what the group wants to do, we really have the flexibility and adaptability to do that. I really think that this is an unprecedented time in history. There's a part of me that it's very hard to be living this part of history right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. I do think that things will get better eventually, but if for someone who feels deeply, cares deeply, has a lot of empathy, these times are really challenging as a highly sensitive person. There are beautiful things that are going on. There are many things about the slowdown with COVID that really is helping many of us enjoy what works for us as HSPs, because many of us are working from home if we're privileged enough to be able to do that. Many people are not working right now. I understand that. So it's a mix. Everything is a mix. It's a both and. But I did want to give you, the listener, an opportunity if you were thinking about taking the Online HSP course. I have just a couple slots left. I will not take any more than 8 people in a group because I want it to be small and intimate. What I've heard from people, and for many of us did not grow up in a supportive environment, that part of how we learn, and this is why therapy and coaching can be so helpful, or when we have healthy, nurturing relationships, is we learn that we can show up with all of our feelings and we're not going to be judged. One of the things that comes up frequently in the course, an example, is people will feel like they're too much. I'm taking up too much time, and I'll ask them, do you want to get a reality check? And if they do, so far, what has always happened is people will say, I love when you share. I hear things that I think about that are in my head. I really appreciate it. So we often have these ideas of how we think people are viewing us, and it's not really the reality. The other thing I have to tell you is I'm having some major computer problems. I'm actually going back to edit this, and the audio dropped out in so many places. I need to get my computer fixed. I'm trying to patch it together. So if this episode sounds like it's choppy, it's because it is, and we're just going to do a done is better than perfect. conversation. And if you need to get a reality check, oftentimes people will say, I feel like I'm talking too much, that wound of too much and not enough. And I'll ask, do you want to get a reality check? And so far, I guess this could always change, but so far the group has always said, I get so much out of what you share and that I don't have that narrative of like, I just want to poke out my eyeballs every time you talk. I have so many close friends, not so many. I have a handful of close friends that are highly sensitive therapists. We've done our work. We are wounded healers. We're healers. I can't tell you how much this comes up even currently in relationships. I feel like I'm boring you. I feel like I'm being too negative. So to me, I mean, if we can get to a place where that doesn't show up, that's great. That's just not my experience. Maybe I've got more healing to do. I don't know. But in the same way, I would say, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm tired. I can say with the people that I care about, this is what's going on. In fact, today, Jen Perry, who's been a guest on the podcast a couple of times, she and I created the course together. She and I recorded all the videos, most of them. She's been really busy and we connect over Marco Polo. And the last time I heard from her was last week. There's a lot going on for her and I get it. I reached out to her today via Polo and I said, hey, I know you have a lot going on. I need to let you know that I'm starting to enter that place where I'm starting to feel a little bit hurt. I'm sure it's not about me, but I'm starting to have these thoughts like, I'm going to put my energy somewhere else. I've talked to you. I've got attachment wounds. I've got abandonment wounds. And I really love Jen. And we've got this amazing relationship. And she responded and called me right away. And this is the gift of doing our work and of working with people that are doing their work. I know that's redundant. What she said is, I see that as an act of love and care. When you reach out to me, you're reeling me back in because I juggle so many balls that like the balls fall under the couch. I'm your dust bunny. So I said, I'm just going to send you a picture of a dust bunny when I feel like I'm being neglected. But the way that she responded to me was so powerful and so loving. And she encouraged me to let her know when that happens because she sees that as an act of love and an act of care. That's pretty powerful. I've talked about, I have some other relationships where because of my attachment wounding and the other person's attachment wounding, if I say, I'm missing you, I'm having a hard time, this activates the other person's attachment wound and they hear that they're not showing up okay and they get defensive. And I don't feel seen and heard. This is not a dig. I'm just naming the dynamics that go on. And so this is a close relationship and there are certain things that I just do not bring to the relationship because I end up feeling more wounded if I talk about what's going on. There are enough things in the relationship that work that I want to stay in it. I'm taking a course right now to work on attachment wounds, healing, somatic experiencing, because I want to get to the point where I'm not activated, that this person can show up exactly as they are, and that I've done enough healing and I can create enough of a secure attachment so that I don't get activated. So I'm not coming from a place of blame at all. But these are the gifts that we get when we start doing our work and we learn to name things. We can have more depth and more intimacy in our relationships because we know ourselves. We know how we're wired. We can talk about what we need. And I said to Jen in the polo, like, I know you're busy, and if you're not able to get back to me, I'm okay with that. We can really show up and fully express how we are. We can learn, we can stretch, we can grow, we can be uncomfortable enough that it doesn't push us over the edge. I know I say this all the time, HSPs have amazing gifts to offer the world. And when we've got healing and work to do, we can do that. We're not going to live lives without pain and suffering. I think that what the goal is to learn how to lean in when times are a little bit challenging. We get more tools in our toolbox, so when we struggle, we've got tools to pull out. We know that what we're experiencing is very normal. Emotions are just energy. We learn to feel those emotions. And then when we have times of ease, we just enjoy them. And so there's not this fight and this struggle of, I don't want to lose control. I don't want to have my feelings. I'm too much. I'm not enough. Whatever I do isn't enough. I don't feel good enough. How can I talk to people about what's going on? Whatever I do isn't enough. I'm not good enough. I mean, these are the ways that wounding shows up for us as HSPs, and we can learn about the trait, learn how it shows up, learn tools to work through it. so that we can really live the lives that we were meant to be. We are healers, we are teachers, we are creatives. We have so much to offer the world. So, if you're interested, I would suggest going to my website, unapologeticallysensitive.com. There's an HSP groups page. Go to that page. There is too much information there. There are 1-minute audio clips if you just want a little quick soundbite. There's a full podcast episode that Jen and I did together about the course. If you prefer video, there's some video of some people talking about how the course was for them. There are podcast episodes that I've done with people who have taken the course. There's a written description. It's a lot of information, but it's a menu. So you get to choose what you want to see. Then the best thing to do is to either hit the registration form or shoot me an email at unapologeticallysensitive@gmail.com. Let me know that you're interested in the group, and we need to get the paperwork done pretty quickly because I want to send out the first video to you so that you will be ready for group on Tuesday. Heavy sigh. So during this time while we are living history, I hope that you were doing well. I hope you were feeling some peace, some comfort. This is a crazy upside down time in our world. There are some things that are going great, and there's some things that are just a little challenging right now. We can get through this. If you don't have a lot of support, the group may be a place to connect with other people to talk about what's going on. A number of the groups have continued to stay connected when the 10 weeks is over. I can't guarantee that that will happen in the group. It usually comes about when somebody in the group takes the initiative to connect either via a private Facebook group or the app Marco Polo or through email. And so you really have an opportunity to spend 10 weeks with other HSPs, learning about your trait, learning about what's showing up for you in this unprecedented time in history. Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. So I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being a listener. I really appreciate each and every one of you. We have an amazing Facebook group that's called Unapologetically Sensitive. It's just a wonderfully warm, supportive community. There are a couple of questions that you need to ask in order to be admitted into the group. If you're a therapist, a healer, a coach, an acupuncturist, there's another group called Unapologetically Sensitive Therapist Group. After I named the group, I realized not everybody's a therapist, but I didn't want to go back and change the name since I'd announced it on the podcast. It's another place. There's a lot more activity in the first group that I mentioned. I just want to provide resources and support and safe places for HSPs to connect in a very positive, nurturing, loving environment. Thank you so much for being here today. If there's anything that I can do for you, please feel free to reach out to me. Remember, sensitivity is nothing to apologize for. It's our superpower. Have a blessed day.